Welcome to Bennochy and our celebration of International Organ Day. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we start. Toilets, if you're looking for the gents' toilets, this door here, along there, 10 paces on the left. If you're looking for the ladies or disabled, it's out that door there, and keep on down to the end of the corridor. Fire exits is where you came in, or through that door and it's right to the left. There's a ramp there for getting out. I'd like to thank the students for coming along and performing for us this afternoon, and also to thank the parents, family and friends for their support. I'd also like to thank Stuart Watson, our organist here, for the initiative in promoting this wonderful instrument. Stuart will have a bit more to say later, but in the meantime, we hope you will, and I'm sure you will, be entertained. Just for your own benefit, this is being recorded, and it will be available on Facebook on Sunday evening under the Bennochy Church Facebook page. That's all I have to say about the welcome, other than welcome again, and I'll hand over to Stuart. Thanks, Stuart.
Good. Well, it's lovely to see you all here this afternoon. That was a processional march by Gilmore. Remember that because it will come back as a question later on this afternoon. George has already said his thanks. I want to say my thanks too, and I want to begin by saying thanks to George. I've got my reading glasses on, so I can't even spot him just now. George, thank you very much, especially to you and all the team for your support from Bennochy Church. I also want to thank all my students for the lovely preparation that they've done for today. So well done, you guys. And everyone here today, parents, family, friends, family. Thank you. It's great to see you. So, what are we going to do this afternoon? That's kind of small text. My apologies. I'm going to talk about the organ and let you hear some of the different sounds that the organ can make. That will take about 20 minutes. Okay, so the piece of music that I've just played, that's a big chunk of, oh, George, you're sitting there. Thank you. So the music that I've just played, that's a big chunk of my input this afternoon. And then once I've done my talky bit, some of 10 of my piano students are going to come and play the organ transfer. And it's like an experiment. We're going to try and experiment taking music that we've prepared on the piano just to see if we can get it transferred onto the pipe organ. Again, so that'll take about 20 minutes as well. And then that will be the end of the program. So once my final student has played, that will be the end of the formal program, at which point the recording stops and we don't go out on Facebook anymore, because that creates space then for you to come and have a shot. And it's nice and safe kind of thing, that kind of thing. Okay, so yes. So apart from Bennochy Church, where could we find a pipe organ? How about here? Does anyone recognize this pipe organ? It's a bit small, really. Marjorie, you've sung here. Shall I give you another clue? Yes, it's Ayrtown Hall. Fantastic. So we can find a pipe organ in a church, in a town hall. Where else might we find a pipe organ? When Marjorie and I were first married, we used to live round the corner from this place. Do you want another clue? You know the answer. Kelvin Grove Art Gallery. So we find an organ in a church, in a town hall, in an art gallery. Where else might we find? This one's just across the water. Anyone recognize this one? Do you want another clue? Yes, the Usher Hall. Fantastic. There's the outsides of the Usher Hall, and just to prove that it's the Usher Hall in Edinburgh. What about this one? There we go. Marjorie knows this one. Let me give you another clue. You might have visited this place. Oh, I'm sorry. Scone Palace, fantastic. There's a lovely Grade 1 listed pipe organ at the end of the long gallery in Scone Palace, but the people there are so posh that they don't bother to do the maintenance on it, and it's unplayable. There we go. Grade 1 listed. Grade 1 listed it is, and unplayable. There we go. How about this one? If you're on Facebook, you might recognize this one. Do you want another clue? There's the answer. Who would have thought? You find a pipe organ in a church, in an art gallery, in a town hall, in a posh house, but also in a London Underground station. So next time you're at London Bridge, make sure you take your sheet music with you. This guy didn't take his sheet music, he brought his iPad. You can maybe just about see that. Okay, and this one is the oldest playable pipe organ in Scotland. And it's located just at the pin on the map, which is halfway between Oban and Fort William, and it dates, parts of that instrument, as far as as the evidence suggests, comes from 1700. So over 300 years old. Isn't that incredible? There's a musical instrument 300 years old, and they are still, and as far as I know, still in use at the Episcopal Church in Appin, if that rings any bells. And then, of course, more locally in Kirkcaldy Town Centre, top left. What church is that? St. Peter's, yes, and they've got a lovely small organ in St. Peter's. A little bit more about St. Peter's Church as we go through this afternoon. Another instrument at risk on the top right. Abbots Hall, a lovely super instrument they've got at Abbots Hall. And then right slap bang in the middle of town, the old kirk with another instrument of really historic significance. I'm not going to bore you with the details, but there we go. Who plays the pipe organ? Anyone here play the pipe organ? Yes, fantastic. If everyone had their own, I would be the tuba player here. But there we go. What the musician does is just like we just adapt. Okay, good. Who's this famous person that you might recognize from TikTok? This person has 700,000 followers on TikTok because they play the pipe organ. Who would have thought? Anna Lapwood. How many TikTok followers does Rishi Sunak have? Oh, that's a real question. Rishi Sunak doesn't have a Facebook page, but he does have the Downing Street page, which has only 300,000 followers. So Anna Lapwood, MBE, is streets ahead of Downing Street in terms of TikTok followers. This is, if you follow classical music at all, this is a really, really important figure. He's a conductor, piano player, really amazing. So you'll just sit down at a piano and you'll just improvise. He's also a phenomenal organist. Anyone recognize him? No. Wayne Marshall, OBE. Maybe I should have not put Wayne Marshall there. Okay, on to the next question. How does an organ make a sound? Anyone here ever played the recorder at primary school? Yeah, about half of you. Fantastic. Okay, good. So a pipe organ kind of makes it sound in a very similar way to the recorder in that so the air moves over an opening and it causes a vibration in the air, and that's it. Good. Actually, I'm going to come back to that. I forgot to press on a really, really important switch for the next part. But anyway, let me go on to the next question before, and I'll come back to this one. Actually, no, I'm going to ask you another question. What's the Scots word for a pipe organ? Anybody know the Scots word for a pipe organ? A kist of whistles. It's a bit derogatory, isn't it, really? A kist of whistles. In other words, a box full of whistles. And that's why it's a bit like the recorder, okay? So, I'm grateful to Forth Pipe Organs who tune the organ here for the photographs I'm showing you this afternoon. There are photographs here, it's maybe not very clear. But the first photograph is looking down on the pipes and then from the side. But these are the pipes that are at the very, very back of this organ room. And the pipes at the very back are controlled by the top manual. Some of the pipes that you see at the front are controlled by the lower manual. Okay, best guess. How many pipes do you think are in that room upstairs? 300. Higher. Yes, so almost. So we're looking at somewhere around about 900. 900 pipes. Ooh. That's some size. That's some size of musical instrument, and it's some job to tune a pipe organ. Okay, so remember that as well. How many sets of strings on a piano keyboard? Some of our piano students should know this. How many sets of strings on? How many keys on a piano keyboard? Close, 88. So when the piano tuner comes and they charge you, I don't know, roughly the equivalent of a tank of petrol, okay? So that's for 88 sets of strings. What's it going to be when we tune 900 pipes? Okay, good. Now what I want you to do now, let me see if I can find my way back. So we're thinking about the sound of the organ and how the sound is generated by air moving over an opening. The air movement is generated by a fan. So the blue thing in the corner of the first picture is under here. right here. Okay, and the air goes from here up to the pipes through, I don't know, some kind of tubing. And it goes, and the air is then stored in the bellows. So the white line that goes kind of diagonally across, that's the bellows, and the air is stored in there, ready to go to the pipes. Now, what I want to do now is to let you hear the organ breathing, because obviously, if you play the recorder, you've got to breathe in order to play the recorder. Okay, so the pipe organ also needs to breathe. So I need you to sit really still and really quiet and listen for the organ breathing. That was it. So for those of you that can hear the grass grow, you can you can hear the organ breathing. I'm sorry, I should have put a microphone there for anyone who was listening on the loop. Okay, moving on. There we go. Different shapes of pipe make different sounds. And so what I'm going to do now is to let you hear the sounds that we can make on the group of pipes that we call the principals, or we might call them the diapasons. This is John Williams, Star Wars. Good. Then, one of the things I didn't tell you about really was the department of the organ that is called the reeds. Now, rather than making a sound in the same way that a whistle makes a sound, it's much more like the way that a saxophone makes a sound with a reed that vibrates at the beginning of a tube. And just to demonstrate the sound of the reeds, what music am I going to play? Anyone recognize that logo? Angry Birds. There we go, that's a special wee treat because I never played that before a service on a Sunday. For obvious reasons. Good. And then we have, so there's a department of pipes that are really very slender and they make beautiful slender sounds, very, very gentle sounds. They're located mostly at the back of that room. As is that reed stop that I just played the Angry Birds on. So that's why it's a wee bit quieter. Did you sense it a wee bit quieter? Yeah, okay. So it's further back in the room. I'd love to hear that kind of sounds right at the front, but but it is what it is. And it's great fun. Okay, so the Glasgow Love theme from Love Actually played on the string department of the organ. And then closely related to the sound of the principles of diapason, we've got a department of sounds that are called the flutes. We're almost there. You can tell that we're almost there. Anyone recognise that logo that's just gone up? No one willing to say. It's from what? On Nintendos, there you go, absolutely. So I know this from a Wii machine that we had way back, and so what I'm going to play on the flutes is the Mi channel theme. So when you put your Nintendo box on, the Mi channel theme is what you would hear, and this is on the. I'm going to play this on the flutes, and then I'm done playing. Just a wee bit silly. I'm disappointed nobody got up to do a wee cha-cha-cha with that. Good. So, how old do you think the pipe organ is? How old do you think this one is? Over 100 years old. It was commissioned by St. Peter's. So remember St. Peter's Church? It was commissioned by St. Peter's in 1909. And what that means is the composer that I played at the very, very beginning, what was his name? Guillemot. There we go. Eric's got it. Guillemot was still around when this instrument was first played. It was originally made by a company called Norman and Beard, and they're based in Norfolk. And from their factory in Norfolk, they would send pipe organs all around the world. And one of them ended up in Kirkcaldy. Again, the picture's way too small. My apologies. But that is a photograph that they have at St. Peter's Church, and you can see this instrument in its original location at St. Peter's Church down on Town and Place. Around about 50 years ago, the church, St. Peter's Church, had to be replaced. It had to be rebuilt, and so I'm guessing the pipes maybe went into storage. Oh yes, and remember the photograph that I showed you of the St. Peter's. So they rebuilt in the mid-70s, and then they put a new instrument in there. But then, in the mid-70s, around about the same time that St. Peter's Church had to be rebuilt, St. John's Church, the building that used to stand here, was destroyed by fire, and the organ was lost with it. So the good people of St. John's Church rescued the pipework and so on from the scrap merchant, effectively, and the instrument was the instrument that you see and was originally at St. Peter's was rebuilt here. Who would have thought that in the age of Waterloo, Saturday Night Fever, and punk rock, that people who were, of our parents' and grandparents' generation would have considered rescuing an Edwardian pipe organ to put in their brand spanking new 1970s building, which we're in today. It's remarkable. I think it's remarkable that in the 70s, people would still value the pipe organ in such a way that they would install it. But because they did, they've passed that heritage on to us, and there's a sense in which it's our responsibility to pass it on to for example, the likes of my students who are the next generation. One or two more questions. So we've talked about regular tuning. I think it's every 6 months that the instrument is tuned. If you think about, is it high T at Balmoral? High T at Balmoral plus a tour for two, that would give you the rough idea of how expensive it would be to tune the organ. There was recent work that had to be done, special work, it was woodworm. And so there was treatment for the woodworm. If you think about how much it would cost to take a family of 4 at the beginning of this summer holidays to Disneyland, no travel expenses, that would be the amount that that was spent on making sure that the instrument was still playable. So it's quite, the running costs are really quite expensive. Now, how much would it cost to put a new, if you reclaimed the pipes from another instrument, if you had to do that, how much would it cost? About the same price as a house in Kirkcaldy, okay? And that's just the man hours. If somebody gave you the pipes and you needed to install a pipe organ, it would take so long that it would be about the price of a house, an average house in Kirkcaldy. If you had a newly built instrument, the price of half a dozen instruments, half a dozen houses. How valuable is this bit of kit that's behind me. And it's an absolute joy to play it Sunday by Sunday. There we go. Loads to think about there, right? I've taken half an hour. My apologies. I'm 10 minutes over. So now it's time for my students to play. So let's follow the program through, if that's okay. And maybe number one and number two, who's sitting away at the back. Why don't you gather round and let's begin playing. Okay. So, by way of example, I'm going to say, my name is Stuart. I don't go to school because I'm too old to go to school. And a fun fact about myself would be that I have two dogs. One's called Star and one's called Luna. So, your name. So, tell us a little bit about yourself, your name, the school that you go to, perhaps, and a fun fact.
My name is Morta. I go to Girkadi North Primary School, and my favorite color is purple.
There you go. Morta, tell us what you're going to play for us this afternoon.
Crocodile in the Nile.
Crocodile in the Nile. I hope you heard the crocodile snapping its teeth and then getting eaten by a bear at the very, very end. Morta, what did you think about playing the pipe organ today?
Fun.
It was fun. Great stuff. Okay, good. Who's this? Tell us your name, the school that you go to, and a fun fact. Come and stand.
Hi, my name is Lola. I go to fact about me is I like sloth.
Lola likes sloths. Come and play. Lola's going to play Christabel Kangaroo Visits Korea. So we're going to speak into this microphone. You know the drill. Go for it.
My name is Grace. I go to Colgate West Primary School. And a fun fact about me is I have a dog called Diggle.
A dog called Doodle. Okay, come on then, let's play. Nice big words. So the microphone's here. Nice big words. Go for it.
My name is Elsa, and I go to Bennochy Primary School. And I have a dog.
Hi, my name is Hannah. I go to the College West Primary School, and a fun fact about me is I like the colour blue.
Hi, I'm Iona. I'm from Kirkcaldy West Primary School, and at lunchtime I competed in a cross-country event.
Iona, how did you do in your cross-country event?
I enjoyed it. It was really good.
My name's Isla, and I go to Bennochy Primary School, and
I like drawing. Hi, I'm Edith. I'm from Kirkcaldy West Primary School. Fun fact about myself is I own a dog called Rusty.
And did you also take part in cross country today?
Yes, I did.
How did you do?
I think I did okay.
You did okay, good job. Let's see your point. You know the drill.
Hi, my name is Jay. I go to Balwearie High School, and my fun fact is I like Taylor Swift.
Hang on a second. Okay, now there's another important question here. Okay, so you're just about to finish school, aren't you?
Yeah.
Tell us what you're going to do next.
I'll be studying maths at uni,
Whereabouts?
Edinburgh Uni.
Fantastic, great stuff. Good job. Thank you, Julia. I wonder if you maybe heard not just the sound of the pipes speaking there, but also some of the mechanics in there. Did you hear the little click right at the beginning? That tells us that we're dealing with a real bit of musical equipment. Come away. My final student for this afternoon on the formal programme. On you go.
I'm Rebecca, I'm too old for school. Fun fact about me, I'm also a flautist.
So I think what we've proved this afternoon, it is entirely possible to take stuff that you prepared on the piano and transfer it across onto the pipe organ. Good. Can you bear with us just a wee minute? And rather than just on the piano solo, an organ solo, maybe we could have an organ duet. So let's have Isla and Ailsa back. And they've prepared a duet for us called Round Dance. where to from here? The Royal College of Organists, whose idea International Organ Day is, they have offered their support if anyone would like to take their experience of playing the organ further. How about that? Anyone want to take their experience of playing the organ today further? Well, it's maybe too early to ask, okay. And then perhaps the other thing to say is, well, I've talked quite extensively. I've tried not to be too passionate about it, but it's quite an expensive instrument to run. So let me encourage you to please consider supporting the organ's running costs by making a donation. Margaret, give us a wave. Okay, you can give a cash donation to Margaret, okay? Or if you look at the bottom of your program, there is a link to the bank details that you can use. So that brings us to the end of the formal part of International Organ Day. So thank you very much for your support. I'm going to hang around here a little while longer. Very conscious that I'm feeling, maybe it's like it's dinner time, I don't know. I'm going to hang around here a little while longer. So if you, now would be the time to gather round with any questions that you have. And if you'd like a shot at playing the organ, I'm hoping that you might have brought some sheet music with you as well. I suppose the other thing to say would be, I start playing here most Sunday mornings about 9:45. And I play for about 1/4 hour. It would be lovely to see you. Anytime you fancy popping in. Thanks very much for being here today, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Let's have a big cheer for my students. Thank you very much, girls. Well done.